Hello there. If I've managed to release this video on time, then the upload date should be the 8th of September 2023, which is exactly 10 years since I created my channel. To mark the occasion, I wanted to finally take part in the Doctor Who tag, which is a trend that literally everyone seemed to be doing all the way back in 2015, but for some reason I never did. Probably because no one ever tagged me. Just to put my own spin on it, in addition to answering the questions that were in the original tag, I've also sprinkled in some of my own questions. I hope you enjoy. What was your first episode / when did you become a Whovian? As far as I'm aware, my very first episode was the Series 1 episode, The Empty Child, which is probably one of the scariest episodes to begin with. I remember we had a day at primary school where we did nothing but watch TV and films that we brought in on DVDs, and I remember one of my classmates brought in one of the Series 1 volume DVDs, which contained The Empty Child. I don't think I knew much about the programme back then, but what I do distinctly remember is I was absolutely terrified of the episode, to the point of I wasn't even watching it. I was just so afraid to look at The Empty Child that I was just sat there doodling, and I think a few of my friends asked me, "Oh, are you scared? Is that why you're not watching?" And I pretended to be not scared, and I was like, "No, I'm just not interested," but I was absolutely terrified. And it wasn't until roughly 2 years later, when the Series 3 episode Utopia aired, that I finally became a Doctor Who fan. I randomly tuned in right at the start of the episode. I think I was just channel surfing, and I was immediately hooked in how they go to the end of the universe, and you've got this, what I thought was a mysterious character in Captain Jack, who randomly jumps onto the TARDIS and then suddenly they go to the end of the universe. I was just really fascinated by that. And then obviously we had that amazing cliffhanger where it's revealed that the Master is back. Even though I had no clue who the Master was, I knew it was a big deal. And then couple that cliffhanger with the fact that the Doctor, Martha and Jack are stuck at the end of the universe, I was just hooked and didn't stop watching after that. Tuned into the rest of Series 3 and then loved those episodes so much that I went back and watched all the other series, and the rest is history. Who is your favourite Doctor? I'm sure this is an answer that so many people give, but for me, it has to be the 10th Doctor. He's the Doctor who was on screen when I became a fan of the show, and I think that's always had a bearing on me. And also I just personally find him the most likeable. I find him really charismatic, really confident. I love his dress sense as well. He's just the Doctor that I've always inspired to be like. And dare I say it, I think he's a big reason why I often gel my hair up, though I haven't done it in today's video. I think David Tennant's performance is always brilliant in every single episode, and this might be controversial for me to say, but I think especially when you compare him to the 11th and 12th Doctors, I think he's the most consistently written across all three of the series he did. I just think he's great. I just adore him so much. Who is your least favourite Doctor? I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this, but if I had to choose one Doctor who is my least favourite, I would probably go for the 6th Doctor. Now, I should just say off the bat, I haven't seen all of his episodes, so my opinion is, for want of a better word, biased. But from the stories that I have seen, which I think is pretty much just his episodes in season 22, the Trial of the Time Lord series, I find him too arrogant at times, and quite loud as well. And also, let's be honest here, his costume is way too colourful and overbearing, and it's just an eyesore. I don't dislike the 6th Doctor, but I just think if I had to pick one Doctor who I don't like as much as the rest, it would have to be the 6th one. Sorry, 6th Doctor fans. Who is your favourite companion? I'm going to go for a companion who I think is arguably the most underrated, and that is Martha Jones. I just love Martha to pieces. I think I am swayed slightly in the fact that she was the companion when I became a fan of the show, but even that aside, I think she's so good and so much of a match for the Doctor. She does so much, she has so much agency, particularly in episodes like Human Nature, where she literally takes control of everything because the Doctor is nowhere to be seen. And even in the Series 3 finale, she travels the whole globe telling stories and keeping herself alive despite being a fugitive. And I think another reason why I appreciate her so much is because the Doctor doesn't. Obviously, the whole storyline of Series 3 is that she adores the Doctor, but he never really appreciates her or treats her fairly. And I think partly out of sympathy, I just love her because I can see the value she has, even when the Doctor can't. Who is your least favourite companion? I would have to say Ryan, played by Tosin Cole. I think compared to the other 13th Doctor companions, he is the weakest, and just looking back on the series that he was in, I don't actually think he did that much in Series 11 and Series 12. And also, if I'm to be completely honest, I think Tosin Cole's performance wasn't always that good. So yeah, I think Ryan is my least favourite companion. What is your favourite monster/villain? For me, it's a toss-up between the Weeping Angels and the Silence, but I think overall it has to be the Weeping Angels. Again, I know it's a common answer that so many people give, but I just find the concept of them not being able to move whilst observed genius, and also they're one of the few villains to still terrify me to this day. If you saw my playthrough of the Doctor Who VR game, The Edge of Time, you'll know exactly what I'm on about.
Oh no. Oh god.
It just goes to show how brilliant a monster the Weeping Angels are. What is your least favourite monster/villain? The one that immediately springs to mind is that random scribble monster from the Series 2 episode Fear Her. What even was that? What is your favourite episode? I'm sure this is an answer that many people give, but it is honest to God my favourite episode, and it has to be Midnight. I just love this episode so much. It's so well written, so well acted. I love the fact that you never find out what the Midnight entity looked like or what its end goal was. I think David Tennant gives arguably his best performance as the Doctor in this episode, especially in the final 10 minutes of the episode. You can see in David Tennant's eyes just how fearful he is, and that is the sign of a good actor. If you can do that just in your eyes, that is incredible. It's one of the most terrifying episodes as well, and I think the big reason why I like it is the ending. I'm someone that loves dark and depressing endings, and my god, this episode is dark and depressing. The fact that they never found out the hostess's name is really sad, and it's just got a really somber mood to it. But yeah, I love Midnight, and I could talk about it all day. What is your least favourite episode? Sadly, there's a few episodes I'm not particularly fond of, but off the top of my head, I think I would have to go for the Series 11 episode, the Saranga Conundrum. As far as I'm aware, it's the only episode I've been bored watching on the initial airing. I just really didn't like it. I didn't like the characters. I thought the setting was quite bland. As for the Pating, while I did like the design of it, I never really felt like it was much of a threat, and I think that's a big reason why I was bored throughout the episode. If you don't feel like the villain is an actual threat that could kill the characters, then there's nothing to hook you into the plot. What is your favourite series? My favourite series has to be Series 4. Again, I know it's a common answer that so many people give, but For me, this is absolutely the best series of Doctor Who. Every single episode is good in my eyes, but there's two main reasons why I love this series so much. Number one is the brilliant pairing of the Doctor and Donna. They're one of, if not the best, Doctor-companion relationships, and I think that's a big reason why they're returning for the 60th anniversary. But also, the run of episodes from Silence in the Library to the finale, Journey's End, I think is perhaps the strongest run of episodes the show has ever had. Every story does something unique and interesting. They're all really well written stories, in my opinion, and they're quite dark as well. And I love dark episodes, so naturally I love the second half of Series 4. What is your least favourite series? My least favourite series has to be Series 13/Flux. I think what definitely didn't help this series is the fact it's only 6 episodes long. And I know that can't be helped because it was filmed during the pandemic, but in my honest opinion, I think at most only 3 or 4 of those episodes were actually decent. So that doesn't help. I think part of the problem I have with Flux is there's too much going on. I think Chibnall was way too ambitious with the story, throwing so many characters and monsters and settings in when he should have scaled it back a bit more. I honestly think he could have made a better series if he didn't try to be so ambitious with it all. But yeah, Series 13, not a big fan. What is your favourite era of the show? This is a really easy question to answer. It has to be the Russell T Davies era. Obviously, it's the era that made me a fan of the show, but also I think it was the best time to be a fan of the show. From what I can remember of this time, the show was literally everywhere. There was merchandise in every shop. Everyone chatted about the episodes as they aired in school. And as for the show itself, it might be controversial of me to say this, but I think the Russell T Davies era was the most consistent in its writing. Brilliant characters, brilliant episodes. Obviously there was a few duds in there, but I feel like overall there was less duds than what came after. And I just have so much nostalgia for the Russell T Davies era. What is your favourite Christmas special? For me personally, I think the all-time greatest Doctor Who Christmas special is A Christmas Carol. I think I've rewatched it every year, every Christmas, since it first aired all the way back in 2010. And to this day, I am still not bored of it. And I think that is a true sign of a superb episode. I love the setting and the cinematography. It's just got a really distinct look to it. I think the guest cast is amazing, particularly Catherine Jenkins, who I think had no acting experience whatsoever. Michael Gambon as well, Dumbledore himself, he's in the episode. Matt Smith is brilliant as ever. And I love the ending as well. The fact it ends with a fantastic song by Murray Gold called Abigail's Song. I love the lyrics of that. I love how it sounds. I love how it incorporates into the episode. I just love A Christmas Carol so much. And every Christmas, I really look forward to rewatching it. What is your favourite regeneration or post-regeneration story? It's so difficult to pick an answer for this because I think so many pre- and post-regeneration stories have been amazing. But if I had to pick one, I would go for The End of Time. This was so epic, it felt like a movie. I think it's a brilliant send-off to the 10th Doctor. The Fornox scene is one of the greatest Doctor Who scenes there's ever been. I love the final 10 minutes where the 10th Doctor goes and revisits all his companions. As for his regeneration itself, it's arguably the most upsetting and, dare I say it, traumatising. I know that I was devastated when I found out his final line would be, "I don't want to go," and just seeing the tears in his eyes as well. I just think it's a really epic story. I love it. What is your favourite TARDIS interior? I love them all for different reasons, but if I had to pick one, I would have to go for the 12th Doctor's TARDIS. It's the only one that I've actually stepped on the set for, and I think that has some bearing on my decision. But also, I think out of all of the interiors, that's the one that I'd be most excited to run around in, pressing all the buttons on the console and just exploring all the different avenues and pathways and doorways you could go through. There's just a lot of levels to it, and it feels the most like a machine, and I just really love it. And there we go. Hopefully my opinions weren't too controversial and you haven't already unsubscribed or cancelled me. If you enjoyed this video, please be kind enough to give it a like, as your support really does mean the world to me. And feel free to answer these questions yourself, either in the comments or in your own video, which you can then link to me. If you're new to the channel and you like Doctor Who content, please consider subscribing, as Doctor Who content is literally all I make. So hopefully there'll be some videos that you enjoy watching. And also, to be honest, I'm hoping to reach 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So if you can help me get there, I'll be really grateful. All that's left for me to say is thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in a future video. See ya!